So you're probably wondering how the Donald Trump CNN feud started. Well, it's not over politics like you think. It's actually over the 421 million that Trump owes to various banks. Trump doesn't think he owes us money. He really thinks CNN should pay it. And it's all Anderson Cooper's fault. Because what happens is Anderson Cooper, he doesn't go out all the time, but, the few times he does go out, he does a responsible thing, takes an Uber to the bar, he's in there drinking tequila shots all night and beer and all other various concoctions. Does what people do in bars, he's playing pool, shooting darts, winning arm wrestling competitions. Then, it's time to go home. And he does the responsible thing again. He tries to order an Uber, but now he's all drunk and he's drunk typing on his phone. And so then the Uber comes, picks him up. He passes out in the back, gets driven to this house, and the Uber driver tells him, "Hey buddy, you're here." He gets out thinking it's his house, but it's not his house because when he was drunk typing, he of course types in the wrong address, and it autocorrect, anything can happen. So now the key doesn't work, so he gets pissed. He starts banging on the door, yelling, screaming, "Let me in, let me in." Door won't open, and of course, since he's at the wrong house, no one's home. So then he gets a running start and dives into the door and smashes the door down. And then he'll go in his living room, sit in his easy chair, put on CNN, and he passes out again. Well, you make all that noise, the cops and the neighbors call the cops. The cops show up. They see the busted down door. Dude, passed out. They think he's dead. And they realize he's just unconscious. Of course, then they search the house, making sure no one's there. And what do they find? They find $14 million in cash. Because Anderson, in his drunk typing, typed the address to one of the drug cartel's stash houses. And so, of course, the cops take all the money. They're thinking, great, we just made a seizure. Anderson getting a pat on the back. Hey, you found a drug house. Well, then the cartel, he's done this a few times. That's how we got to 421 million. And now the cartel is pissed because you know how they are about their money. And, they're trying, so now he has to have security and all these other things, monitoring his phone, tasting his food because the cartel is out to get him. So Trump, being the nice guy he is, pays off his debt, gets a loan from Deutsche Bank and another bank, gives the cartel their 420 million. Now the cartel's happy, they got their money back. And he's thinking Anderson Cooper's gonna pay it because his mother, Gloria Vanderbilt's rich. Well, he's been doing this all his life, so she's tired of it. She has nothing to do with it. She wants nothing to do with him. That's why she cut him off. And then CNN was supposed to step up because that was one of the conditions of Trump getting the loan, that if Gloria Vanderbilt didn't pay it, CNN would. But CNN's like, oh, you really paid $420 million. They look at their bottom line, viewership's down, advertisers down. They're like, oh, we can't afford it. Trump's like, what? I just paid it. You should have said something before I got the loan. They're like, oh, sorry. What do you mean, sorry? It's $420 million. They're like, well, we can make payments. They're like, well, how much can you make a payment a month? Trump's like, he's trying to be reasonable. And they're like, we can pay $100. $100, that's all you can pay? They're like, well, on-air talent, COVID. Trump's like, this is before COVID. Like, well, that's all we can pay, $100. And then they give him $100 cash and then walk out. So that's why Trump is always on CNN calling them fake news, because they made a fake deal with him. And now he's stuck on the hook for $421 million. Everyone thinks it's compromising his ability to be president, and that he sold out the country, when obviously it's CNN's fault and Anderson Cooper's fault. And they should pay the money back, I think. But a lot of people are like, well, it's Trump. He's a billionaire. He can afford it. It doesn't matter if he can afford it. If you owe someone, if someone takes $420 million or $420 million, $1 million out in a loan for you to pay off a drug cartel so they don't come after you, you pay them back. Because the drug cartels make, they do some nasty things. They go medieval on folks. So Trump is now looking like the bad guy, and Anderson Cooper got off scot-free. CNN got off scot-free. And then they wonder why Trump is always talking bad about him.